Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ladies of the PGS. It's our here, and of course, I have Reina Creole with us tonight. How are you tonight, Reina?
I am doing great. I'm doing fabulous. And I am so excited to be on this channel. Ever since you told me about this show, couldn't wait to be here. So I'm so glad to be here with you. So glad to be here with you guys in the chat and so excited about what we're going to talk about in this power hour of a show.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I have to tell you, my heart is beating. This is just so much fun to be able to come here and do the show. Ladies of the PGS, guys. As I've said before, we embrace masculinity, so this is not a feminist show.
Not by any means whatsoever.
Exactly. We cover science fiction, fantasy, horror, all the fun stuff that we all like. Lorena, this is a dream come true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love streaming together. So love that we stream in front of some more people. So
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, and I do want to say hello to Tom Jr. Jackson, who is the moderator tonight, who is always there, guys. Hi, Tom. We are all goof people. Medallion is here with us tonight. Hello,
Ooh, look
Medallion.
at that.
Joe Tyson is here, says hello. Hello, Joe Tyson. So nice to see you here tonight. Also, Omar94, longtime well-known member of the PGS is here. We got Darth Plato here in the house.
Hey, Darth Plato.
We also have Heath's Tabletop and Fantasy here tonight, guys.
Hello, Keith. Good to see you here.
Oh, it is so great. Lug Nuts 6 is here.
Nuts. Ah, with the what he's so flowery with his language, isn't he?
Absolutely. I love you, Lug Nuts. You are so sweet.
Yes, he's so Lord Byronish. Let me put it that way.
We so appreciate all of you coming here tonight. We also have Donnie Pearson.
Hello.
And also Andrew 46 and 2 says hello all. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is episode 3 of Ladies of the PGS. And, there is a lot to talk about, but some of the things that Lorraine and I absolutely want to talk about, first and foremost, is James Earl Jones, Lorraine.
Absolutely. His voice, he has the most iconic voice. And not to show my age, well, I saw it. Everybody's seen reruns of Sesame Street, right? Okay. James Earl Jones would like count from like 1 to 10. It was the coolest, yes, creepiest thing with his voice. He's one of those just iconic voices for the ages, and I will forever associate him with Darth Vader. It's you cannot. It's like you can't separate the two. He's just one of those. He's amazing actor. Has been around for I don't know how long, and I don't know if a lot of you all know this, but James Earl Jones actually had a really bad stuttering problem
No,
when
I
he
didn't.
was. Yes, James Earl Jones grew up in Mississippi. I think not too far from where my grandfather was born in Mississippi in the deep South. And when he was young, he went to go live with his grandparents on his grandparents' farm, and he was so. You funny fail. I love you, my dear. Um, he had a problem talking to people, but
Mhm.
he could talk to the animals that run his grandparents' farm. So he would talk to the animals, and then eventually he got into theater, and that's how he got over, such a huge stuttering problem. But you would not think that, knowing how much of a thespian this man is, how what a great actor he is, and just how much gravitas his voice has. His story is amazing, which is what makes me not too happy about this news.
Well, you make such good points, Lorena. And I remember this was the first person I ever knew that got introduced pretty much me to voice acting. I didn't know what that was. And of course, my mother, like, she grew up listening to the radio. So she was accustomed to voice actors on the radio, and that was very common. But now all of a sudden, here was this character, and quite a dominant character, maybe one of the most dominant characters of the latter half of the last century. And he's not in the suit, he's a voice actor. And I learned that, and I thought to myself, wow, he has an incredible voice. And clearly that was so significant. And Lorena, according to many of these articles, his voice is going to be eternal now, isn't it?
Yes, yes, eternally synthesized, I
Yeah.
would say. Not like as if, oh, let's go back and pull up what he's done like in the past, like his voice work, his movie work, going back and looking at what's already been archived. No, basically, you're going to have a computer program that's basically given parameters about James Earl Jones, and that will be his voice going forward.
It makes me a little skeptical. And I had kind of joked about, being able to open up your phone and it would say, hello, and it'd be James Earl Jones's voice, because they're going to use his voice, maybe probably for everything. And guys, I'm sorry my video keeps freezing. I have a little internet connection issues. But James Earl Jones's voice, that's like maybe the most marketable voice in the world.
Absolutely. His voice, it's just like you hear it and you're just like, and it's connected to something. It's like hearing, I'm trying to think of another voice actor who, if I heard them, it would not, they're not as well known as James Earl Jones, but he does. His voice has such gravitas. I can't remember if it was AT&T or T-Mobile, where I think him and I can't believe I'm blanking on who the other guy was. They were just reading text messages in their voice. And it was just hilarious because you have these two amazing voice actors just reading like modern text and everything that were going on. But James Earl Jones has one of those voices. He just has one of those voices for the ages. Yeah, Tom Jr. Jackson, like Morgan Freeman. Which I have to laugh because Coming to America 2 absolutely sucked. I'm telling you, I'm spoiling it for you right now. After the funeral, stop watching. Stop watching. Stop watching. James Earl Jones, of course, he's King Jaffa, right? So guess who he got to narrate his funeral? Morgan Freeman.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love Morgan Freeman's voice.
He has an amazing, amazing voice.
Well, Lorena, do we have an article or something we can pull up? But can you do it, please?
We do indeed. If you click share down there,
yes,
should be able to click
yes,
it. That little tiny screen there.
Literally right in front of me.
That's okay. I'll pop it up. James Earl Jones gives rights to Darth Vader voice to Ukrainian AI company. Now, some folks, they say, this isn't, it's like, why? It should be a cool idea. You get an AI. Yeah, the AI, it's kind of like the body is there, but the soul is missing. I kind of put it like you can use an AI, which is basically just a really, really smart computer-based program. I've worked on a couple of AIs. You have the rules, you have the parameters, you have the voice samples, you have the code that runs everything. But what you don't have is the soul of inflection. When like say somebody, when you say like, hey Siri, how much time left on my timer? You have 10 minutes left on your timer. It's not like she says, you might have 9 minutes and 58 seconds. You're missing that inflection that only a human being right now can give you. I mean, an AI can probably come close if you program it well enough, but to me, when I hear AI, it's just the body is there, but the soul is missing. That's just me.
It's not the same. And of course, after listening to his beautiful voice for so many times, uh, should
Oh,
I?
I'm sorry, guys. That was me. Sorry, I have two monitors and I hit the wrong one.
It's all good.
Whoops.
After listening to his beautiful voice for so long, there's going to be many of us who will, notice those differences in the inflection and the intent. Um, I do realize that it is important to preserve his voice, and I think that we've done that in film. He's had such a huge career on the stage. He's so well known, and I think a lot of his performances are preserved. But to be honest with you, I also think what's very interesting is the fact that we are all concerned about how this AI is going to turn out. And we're not going to know because up to this point, we've been lucky, haven't we? We've been lucky to hear the original voice, but he's not going to be able to do this forever. So I guess
True.
we're just going to have to deal with this for a little while and see how it goes. And, fact of the matter is, this is someone who just really isn't replaceable, in my opinion. Certainly, you can almost see him when he's saying the words, doing the movements for Darth Vader, at times. So I think that that's very interesting, when you think about it. But Lorena, I have to say he has certainly earned his retirement.
That is true. He really has. I mean, I see when I think about how long he's been out there, I think about the episode of The Big Bang Theory where he meets Sheldon and he's like, they won't come up and talk to you. And he's like, well, they're weird. And he does like in his voice, and or just go out and pal and hang around. But he's been around for so long. Um, I'm not I'm mad at him, but not mad at him for retiring. It's one
Yeah.
of those where I understand, but the kid in me is just like, I don't want you to retire. I want you to do this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You know.
It's true, and I do feel that same way. And I knew we were going to have to let him go. But what a pleasure it's been to have him make Darth Vader so real, so ominous, so seductive. It's been
Yes.
such a pleasure to have him do that, and I'm grateful for him for doing that. And of course, all of his other work, which is incomparable. Tom Jr. Jackson says he's 91 now. I don't know what I'm going to be like at 91, but I don't even think I would be talking about whether I'm going to work or not because I would have been retired long before.
He's just wow. He's just amazing. I mean, his voice, just other things that he's done, side projects, um, plays that he's done, even one-off movies he's done, like one called The Family Thing with Robert Duvall. Check that movie out. It's a very, very interesting movie, and I think you would like it, especially with the times that we're in right now. It's a very interesting and uplifting story. But the plot, well, let's say the basic plot is that James Earl Jones and Robert Duvall's characters are half brothers who find
Oh,
each
I love
other after like years, and they do not like each other at all. Yes, Field of Dreams. Field of
that.
Dreams. Clear and Present Danger.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Sandy Q, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Field of Dreams. As you said, Lorraine, Clear and Present Danger. There are so many of these, performances that he's given us that we're just not ever going to forget. I don't know whether we're going to see anybody else like James Earl Jones. But I have to ask this question, Lorena.
Mhm.
So, we're talking about the voice of Darth Vader, and clearly, Darth Vader is going to exist into perpetuity. Does this mean that the future for Star Wars is bright? I mean, certainly they're willing to invest in it. And I think if anybody was in this particular situation, and had the opportunity to buy the rights to his voice or however you would describe it, they would do it. Does this indicate that there is confidence in the future of Star Wars as an IP, so to speak?
Confidence, maybe. Hedging your bets, definitely. Who would not want to, and again, not just for Star Wars, who would not want to capture this man's voice in a bottle? It's like a
Yeah.
piece of like a piece of history. I would hope that it would bode well for the future of Star Wars, but it's kind of iffy right now. But I definitely will say it's definitely hedging the bets. It's something that you would rather have it and not need it than need it and you don't have it.
Absolutely. And then, of course, I do have to ask you this question, Lorena. Have you seen the Andor series? And, what's your general impression of the series so far?
I've seen the Andor series. I've seen the first three episodes. I will say from the trailer, I was very intrigued for two reasons: one, Stellan Skarsgård, and two, eventually seeing Mon Mothma's character. After watching the first three episodes, I don't think I'm going to be watching Andor any longer. The first two episodes I felt were extremely slow. Here's what I feel like: if you cannot establish the hook for me to watch in the first episode, I feel you failed and you haven't done your job. And that's what it felt like to me. It didn't really start getting going until the third episode. Actually, as soon as Stellan Skarsgård um, got there. But for me, I'm not interested really in watching anymore. It's not a character that I'm interested in. And I didn't even see if I would have seen a flashback maybe of Mon Mothma, that probably would have kept me watching for a while, but it didn't. So we'll say look wise, it looks good, but the writing and the pacing is just way too slow for me. And your girls watch years of soap operas, so I have no problem with the slow burn, but this just no, it's very obvious the quality difference between the first two episodes and the third one. But I hope
Well,
for those of you who like it, I really do hope that it exceeds your expectations. I really do, because I'm not going to tell you to not watch it. That's not my job.
well, something we talk and we have different views, you and I. So, and we still are friends. This
Yep.
is not one of those situations. I loved Andor, and I'm excited to see episode 4. And you are right; the pace was slower. There's no doubt about it. I certainly agree with you on that. There were a lot of things that I loved in it, so I'm looking forward to seeing more episodes. And I was hooked on episode 1, so for me, it filled a lot of things that I wanted. However, the one thing
Hmm.
that I didn't feel it did was that it's not gritty enough for me. So I'm guessing maybe it will get grittier, but when they said it was going to be gritty, I thought it was going to be, more brutal. Now, to be honest with you, it doesn't have to be brutal to be a good show, but that's what I was expecting when they said gritty. So,
Mm.
but
This
it's
is
okay.
Disney. I just remind me, this is Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So they're only going to go, but so far, especially case in point, Book of Boba Fett. They could have went way further than they did, but they did not, which to their detriment. So I hear you.
Yes, but it is something to think about. And of course, we've seen the first 3 episodes. There is a ton more to see. Hopefully, it gets better. And certainly, oh, yes, Butt Crack Media, hi, says James
Hello.
Earl Jones was in Conan. I forgot, Lorraine.
Yes, he was. I keep forgetting about that. I loved Conan the Barbarian. I really did.
Hmm.
I really did.
I loved that he was sort of, in charge of that. And
Hmm.
I just thought he was incredible. And he commanded the woman. She just like went off the cliff. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was badass. It was
It
badass.
was
I mean,
so, yeah, that's a great watch. That's a
it was
great
so
watch.
good. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about has to do with House of the Dragon, Lorena. House of the Dragon has been having such a great run. And you and I have been talking about House of the Dragon, like maybe to a point of ad nauseum. And there,
True. We love it.
like the past few episodes, I guess 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm not going to do spoilers for episode 6 because it was last night, right, or the
Yes,
night.
last night. Hmm.
So I did see that episode. I can honestly say that for episode 4, there was one article I think that from Fabian Frankel. I don't know if you. It should be there somewhere.
Fabian, let me see.
And thank you for
Ah,
getting.
I got it. I got it.
Thank you.
I got it. This is what I do on the Dark Councils. I got you.
Thank you.
No
It
worries.
wouldn't
You
be
are
happening.
very
I'm going to
welcome.
use my other computer next time because I don't know why. It's just this MacBook. It's more expensive computer, but it's okay. Lorena.
Mhm.
This actor is incredible. His name is Fabian Frankel, and he plays Sir Kristen Cole. Um, he's incredible. What do you think of the Sir Kristen Cole character in the series so far, Lorena?
I love the character when he was first introduced, when she first picked him out. I predicted that he was going to hook up with Rhaenyra. I freaking called that. Anybody who's watched soap operas, you saw this coming. So I love that that happened. I love that he was so sprung, he didn't know what to do. You saw him get his heart broken. And at the end of episode 5, because we know weddings in the house and Game of Thrones do not go well, just beating the crap out of this dude because he is just so heartbroken and so fed up. And I freaking love this character. I really do. He's gone from kind of like the, oh, I just have one mission and, I serve the King's Guard and that's it, to he just falls and fallen and can't really get up really in a way. He's just been put through the emotional ringer. And I'm all here for it.
Me too. Hi, Jonathan Butcher, who says hello. I love this character too, Lorena. And clearly, this guy went all in with the princess. He wanted to marry this woman. And
Mary, run away with me, leave all this stuff behind. And I'm just thinking, bruh, I don't think you read this right.
exactly. I couldn't have said it any better because clearly I don't think she feels the same way about him. Just to be honest with you, I think he's incredibly handsome and irresistible looking man, a fantastic knight. He's protected her, kept her safe. But in the end, I don't think she cared about him the way he cared about her. But Lorena, regardless of this article talks about how much care this actor put into making sure the love scene between him and the princess was believable, Lorena.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? I mean, honestly, I think that he wanted to make the love scene believable. He wanted to make it real. We've been hearing all sorts of talks about love scenes and intimacy coordinators, and we don't get
Mm-hmm.
any of that here. This is more of, he says, I want the love to be real. I want it to look like we're really together. They're young people, so they don't have as much experience as other people. Lorena, in this article, they talk about how he wanted to make sure that they took time to remove the armor in a realistic fashion. Like they couldn't just jump into bed and his armor flies off or something. I really have to say that this really takes a lot of finesse. What do you think about him caring how this love scene was going to turn out?
I think it's great that he did that because one of the biggest demographics that watches Game of Thrones is women. You have to make it believable. One of the biggest issues that I have with the original Game of Thrones were the sex scenes that were in it. Granted, it was a little more than I wanted to see, but there was a connection that was missing. And I think you understand what I'm talking about. It's like the emotional connection part was missing. That's great if you want to watch science movies, but that's not really going to be very particular attractive to women. So when he's with her, the fact that he takes his time taking his armor off, she also helps to take, you know, his armor off. The care that he takes with, folding his cloak, the way that he doesn't, where he's kind of trying to figure out, should I do this? Should I not do this? You can see kind of like the emotional struggle before he's like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna do this. The pacing was like, it was believable. It was very, very, very believable.
Yeah, I agree. In the article, he says it was something we talked about over 7 months. And it was one of the first things I was very keen to talk about, Frankel said.
Hmm.
The next big thing for me was about it not feeling like another gratuitous, sweat glistening off of their back sex scene, because it's just not like that. Anyone
Hmm.
who's ever had sex will tell you that sex ain't that beautiful. It isn't some picturesque, amazing thing. It's awkward, especially when you're young. There's an uncomfortability that one has to sit in, and there's a discovery and understanding of each other's bodies, not to mention the practical side of the whole thing. So he says, how do we make it human?
Hmm.
He says, I just remember saying to them, there's no way this armor comes off without help. And so they decided, he actually fought to have the scene extended so it would
Hmm.
include the long process of him taking off the armor. And of course, the armor was symbolic of, this oath he took of chastity, right?
Exactly, the armor and his cloak, which is why I believe the cloak, I think, was the first thing that he took off, and he took care with, folding that and putting it aside. But I agree with you. That armor and that cloak and his oath is the most precious thing that he has.
Yeah, and it shows. And I wondered about the scene too, because it was so honestly almost gentle in a way. Hello, Brian McCann. And
Hey.
honestly, that's the type of stuff that makes me remember love scenes, Lorena. I think that this man, I can't wait to see him in more sex scenes, because I know now that he wants to make them real and believable and give care to them. This is a wonderful age we're living in, Lorena. If we have actors like this gentleman who want to make it so special for all of us. So I just wanted to say what's so great about this article. He wanted everyone to know that he took this effort to make it that way.
Hmm.
This man is amazing, also very good looking.
Oh,
Um,
he's extremely good looking.
Lorena, I couldn't believe she said no to him, because we both know that if she ran off with him, that the family would hunt her down. But I would at least have to give it a shot and say, let's see how far we get. Let's see how far we get. Well, she's already kind of gone on the road with him a few times. They killed a wild boar together. They can.
Hmm.
It's them against the world, but they would come with the dragons and hunt them down. But it doesn't matter. I think it would have been a very interesting foray for this young lady. But this is the type of stuff that we're talking about in House of the Dragon, and it's been so enjoyable for me to kind of watch this series and have all these very special things about it. Lorena, you talked about the next episode, which was episode 5, about the wedding. And
Hmm.
boy, that particular episode had a lot of things going on in it, maybe more than I've seen in a while, only to see the next episode from last night, which was equally impactful for me. We already know that there was going to be, a jump in time. That's not a spoiler. And
Right.
we knew that there would be new actors. What did you make of the transition? Did you feel it? Did you notice it? Or was it something that you felt they kind of did it perfectly?
I felt they did it perfectly. No, reason number one, the casting. The casting was dead on. So when you saw them, you were just like, "Oh, she just looks older," as opposed to, "Who's this person?" I mean, it wasn't that jarring when you saw them. And so it was great to see them older with the passage of time, and now they're not in that idealistic, "Oh, I don't want to get married," or, "I'm married, I'm just doing my duty," and I'm kind of like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed about the whole thing. 10 years have passed, and basically crap's gotten real now on so many levels. So I was perfectly fine with the time jump, especially the way that they brought it the way that they brought it about. It was very easy to slide into, was not jarring, and if anything, I was looking forward to it. It's like, what happens now, what's going on, since so much time has passed.
Yeah, I agree with you. As I said, we knew that there would be a change in the guard in some of the actors, especially for the princess and the queen. You know, the girls are very young who played in the first few episodes, and
Hmm.
it felt flawless. It felt like the same characters, Lorena. In fact, I keep looking at the queen and I'm thinking to myself, that's the same girl, but of course it's not. But it felt very like nothing had really happened except in the trailer for season 6, episode 6, we did see where she makes us sort of like a snarky remark about the princess's children. And so certainly we know that's something that would come up in the conversation. Um,
Hmm.
and you are right about things coming to a head, so to speak. You know, changes happening. It almost feels like it was overnight, but it wasn't, was it? Because it's a 10-year build up of all the resentment, all these different things that were going on. Um,
Hmm.
that although it looked like they were getting along fine, in actuality, they were not. So this is very interesting that they decided to do that, you know, for this particular show,
Hmm.
um, especially since we already know that this show is going to have its, you know, waves of up and down. Um, I know that in the, you know, kind of looking at the show and just kind of enjoying the show, it's been such an incredible ride to be back in the Game of Thrones, you know, universe. And, you know, you remember
Absolutely.
the first time you saw Game of Thrones and how fantastic it was, and just how you were taken into this new world and you couldn't wait for the next episode. And that is kind of like what I feel like. And I have a feeling that you feel that same way. But sometimes, Lorena,
Hmm.
sometimes, despite this, sometimes we find that, you know, the artists, the creators of these shows don't always let the work speak for themselves.
You are absolutely right about that. Unfortunately, some people just cannot. I'm like trying to look another article for
Oh,
I'm trying to think of. You can tell me which one. You would think
the,
that people would just say, you know what, we want you to watch the show. We worked really hard on it. We really hope that you enjoy it, and just sit back and let the viewer decide whether your art is acceptable to them or not. Again, like we're saying, letting the art speak for itself, and that's what used to, that was that's that's what used to be done. Even though there were maybe some actors who, they had some of their causes. I call it the save the whales, but because they were so grateful for people watching their stuff, we're just like, no worries, you go ahead and save the whales. We're kind of good with that. But unfortunately, with this climate today in entertainment, rather than trust the audience to make up their own mind about your art, you're trying to prejudice them about your art before they even see it.
absolutely. In that article, I think it's the one that says, what does it say? It's the one that says, I can't remember which one it is. One of those articles. I sent you so many articles. I apologize for
Oh,
this.
was it Elizabeth? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay, I think I have this. Olivia
Thank
Cook. Okay.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
guys, Reina is helping me out big
Here
time
we
because
go.
and next time I'm going to be on the other computer. I promise there won't be any pauses. Yes, this is the one. Thank you, Lorena.
You're welcome.
And so, what Lorena and I are talking about is, you know, you're watching a show, you're enjoying it. You know, after the show is over, you can't wait for the next show. You turn the TV off. You wake up the next morning. Gee, that was a great show. You go and you read an article and you see something like this. And you know, at least when I kind of looked at these comments, you know, with Olivia Cook being told to kind of like create a character that's a woman for Trump. And
Mm-hmm.
it was not necessarily in a good light. If it at least was the light where they said, well, we think that the women for Trump are great ladies. And, we think this is exactly the type of determination and drive and, try and be like that. But that's not what this article is saying. It's more saying that, she's a character that would be in a condescending way. And so, I kind of thought to myself, well, this has absolutely nothing to do with the story, because I don't even see this character, Allison, as condescending or out of control. She agreed to marry the king. She could have said no. She could have,
Mm-hmm.
the king could have, it didn't have to be this way, but this is the life that she chose. And she's okay. Like, she's not in danger. She's had
Mm-mm.
beautiful children. The king is still alive. No, it is true, he's not well. It's true. That is very true. I understand that.
Yeah, he's got 1 foot in the grave and another on a banana peel right now. Looking at him, it's poor guy.
Yeah, and I just feel, just looking at her life, she doesn't have a bad life. Now, it is true that Rhaenyra made some snarky remark about being in a castle and having children, but now,
Mm-hmm.
we know eventually that both of these young women are going to be doing that. It was just the timing of it all. I don't think that Allison was ever a bad character, or that she felt trapped. Maybe she would have liked to have done some other things, but remember, her father worked in the castle too. And so it would be
Mm-hmm.
very hard for her to necessarily, be on her own in the situation. She knew when her father said go and spend time with the king, what that meant. She knew what this meant. She's the queen. Oh my goodness, she's the queen. I would imagine it's true, she is scheming. I'm not gonna lie. This is a Game of Thrones style show, House
Right.
of Dragon. She's scheming, but Lorraine, her life isn't bad, and she doesn't. From some of the descriptions of what it said, um, like as if, she's denying her own autonomy and rights. I don't feel that way about Allison at all. Do you?
No. If anything, Alicent is your perfect female antagonist. And again, I go back to the soap opera analogy. You've got that one chick everybody cannot freaking stand, and she's always one step ahead of everyone else. Alicent knows that it's not just about her, it's about her sons as well, especially Aegon. And without her father there, she has basically had to fend for herself. So that eventually gives you an edge. So it's not about a quote unquote woman for Trump. This is a woman who was going to do whatever it takes by any means necessary to put her son on the Iron Throne. Now, why they couldn't say that is beyond me. That's more unifying than saying, "Oh, well, she's a woman for Trump." What that tells me is you want to use an unnecessarily political, I'll say political slur. And why piss off half of your audience on purpose? Why even do that? Stick to the craft. What is her motivation? Her motivation is to keep herself alive. Second, first keeping her son alive, keeping Aegon alive, and making sure that he rules when Viserys finally finally does kick the bucket, for lack of a better term. She is like Lady Macbeth, if you remember that particular
Yes.
character.
Yes.
Very powerful female character who is not above cutting someone to get to where it is that she wants to go. This is exactly what she's supposed to be. And rather than focus on that, they decide to take a trip to Pettyville with this.
Yeah, and I like Darth Plato's comment where he says, it's dumb. I know people who supported Trump and didn't. They're all decent people. Not everybody is an agitator. And, this is,
Exactly, Darth Plato.
yeah, this is really disappointing to see anybody do this. And, I have to think to myself, why would she even share this? Let's say hypothetically this was said in private, whatever, and people
Mhm.
do make comments. Certainly not going to say people don't, but this will create animosity and it undermines the work, Lorena. The work has absolutely nothing to do with anything that's going on right now. This is supposed to be an escape. We're not supposed to be even thinking about stuff like this as we're watching this show. We should be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, well, who's going to have control and who's not going to have control. And, I just have to wonder why they just couldn't let the art speak for themselves. She can say she gave me direction, the showrunners and directors gave me direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about what it would be like to be a politician at that time or something more diplomatic. This is, I'm not going to say it's fighting words, but it wasn't really nice thing to say and, really inaccurate. And you're right. This is half of the country, maybe, if not more of the
Mm-hmm.
country who, I think when they see this, it's kind of wondering, but why? But why would you say this? Now, she is British, right? The
Is she?
actress is British, right? I think
Is she?
I think she is, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a possibility that she might not be as familiar with what that would mean or how many people in the US support this man as a
Mm-hmm.
leader. But honestly, if she had said it even about someone else, I would have, I'd be equally upset with it because, the implication of it is just not fair. It's not fair to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, I think that my reaction, your reaction, and perhaps everybody here, it's something to think about going forward. For her to say that, it was disappointing. And of course, it took me out of the focus of, her taking on, the role of the character. But honestly, this character is nothing like that, what they're perceiving it. I wonder
Mm-hmm.
what she pulled from. I wonder what she pulled from because, the character is nothing like what is described in the article. So, in addition to that,
Mm-hmm.
the episode was fantastic. It was a fantastic episode. It was maybe one of the best episodes I've seen. I just
I
hope we
agree.
don't see more of this going forward, Lorena, because we want to kind of move away from seeing something like this. We just let the show be what it is and let us enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it, and we can come to our own conclusions about things like this. But certainly, I didn't feel and agree with this comment at all. It just was kind of disappointing to see that kind of comment.
It was, and my first impression is, you know what, you really do need to keep your mouth shut about certain things. This wasn't something that you needed to bring up unless you wanted to virtue signal to other people, like, "Hey, I'm cool, I'm okay," hire me for the next thing. I don't know how many seasons of House of the Dragon are going to be filmed, but you have a certain class of actors in Hollywood, and we've seen this, where it seems like at every single turn they'll say something that's agitating like this to a certain portion of the population because they're just like, look, you have to go and say this to so-called irritate the far right. I'll use Andor as another example. I didn't like it when people were saying, Andor, this is going to be analogous to, the Latino experience in America. I'm paraphrasing here. Not all Latinos have had the same experience. I'm Afro Latina. Experience of my Latino ancestors has nothing whatsoever to do with trying to migrate across the Rio Grande River. Just let it speak for itself. Don't put your own spin on it. Just let it out there. I understand you want to comment on it. You know when the best time to comment on it with what you feel about it is after the whole season is done. Then you can go ahead and say that because we've already seen it and it's out there. Not to say that it's the best thing because I really don't think it's a good idea. Why purposely agitate potential viewers? Why
Yeah,
do that? If we get agitated, let us see it and get pissed off and agitated. Well, they kind of told me to play it that way. Okay. When we've seen it and we've made our own judgment, we haven't had you prejudice our judgment by you saying this. So, Olivia, just really, just act. Let us enjoy the art. Let it speak for itself.
Absolutely. So, I hope that going forward, we won't see many more articles like this, but it is something that's bewildering. And, I just really wish it was something that could go away. It's
Mm,
unnecessary, Lorena. This show
yeah.
is a hit. They don't need extra publicity. This show does not need, they don't need any of that. This
Hmm.
has been such a successful show that has had so much anticipation. What was it? Something like 25 million views or something like
I
that.
think it was like 29. I think like 29 million, I believe.
Mhm. I mean, that is spectacular when you think about the day and age that it is, with people wanting to see certain shows, wanting to look at specific types of entertainment. This show
Hmm.
is a hit. And, we knew it was going to be a hit, but it certainly doesn't need, this kind of thing. I've heard them say, or at least I've heard some people say that this will get it more hits on social media. Honestly,
Hmm.
this show doesn't need more hits on social media. There were so many articles, Lorena, on the show, each one of them unique and different. I mean, even the article, of course, of course, I love the article about the sex scene. But to be honest with you, if you could even write an article about that for this show, it has to be something special, something magical going on in this show. So I kind of think it's very interesting, and it's unfortunate that it did go down this road, but it is
Hmm.
something to think about, going forward, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to, what these artists are saying and what they want to be represented in their work. For example, I don't want
Hmm.
to be known for what someone told me as a director. I want someone to say as a performer, wow, what an incredible performance this person gave as Lady Alicent. Whatever direction she received must have been incredible, but I don't necessarily want to tell all my secrets about how I'm giving that stellar performance. Uh,
Right.
I'd rather them write an article that says she was incredible. She was remarkable. They're not even talking about her performance necessarily. This is also bothers me a little bit, is that when you have articles like this, it all of a sudden the actor's performance, you're not talking about that. It's like you're not even a performer anymore.
No. And it's a shame because I her acting is wonderful. Her acting is wonderful, and that's what we should be focused on. And that's what we're there to enjoy. We're there to enjoy your acting, bringing this character from the books to life in front of us. That's what we want to focus on, not whatever political agenda the showrunners told you to go with.
Absolutely. And so, I think that it's important when we see stuff like this,
Hmm.
just to kind of, I acknowledge it only because I think it's unfair,
I
to
agree
kind of put,
wholeheartedly.
the not just the character, but half of the United States, and not only that, supporters, people who support Trump outside the United States, even.
Hmm.
This isn't fair to anybody. Certainly, we should have more pride in each other and support for one another. So,
Agreed.
yeah. So, I did want to say, Lorena, we are almost we're getting close to the end of the show,
Mhm.
and I did want to ask you, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter where I cause all kinds of just mayhem. Because I've been on that platform for way too long, they're going to have to perp walk me off. I will never, I'd never leave. So you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram as well. You can find me on Twitch. And of course, you can find me on YouTube, all under the same name, Lorena Creole. So I would love to have your sub on YouTube. I am 200 away from 4K. So I'm trying to get to 4K. So
All right.
love the help.
Guys, please subscribe to Lorena Creole's channel. She has such incredible streams on her channel. Lorena has not mentioned it, but she's sort of like the park master. She goes to the
Oh yeah, I
park,
forgot about
Universal,
that.
Disney, Gatorland. She also has a show where she features parks and what to expect at the parks. She streams live from the parks pretty consistently. So if you want to find out what's going on, certainly do check out her channel, subscribe, put on the alerts So you know when she's there. Certainly you will enjoy it. I've watched and rewatched many of your streams, Lorena, just to see the parks, just to enjoy all that. Lorena also has a lifestyle channel, so please do check that out as well.
Yes, I do. Thank you. I keep forgetting about that. I have my little channel over there.
So
I
check out
love.
the lifestyle channel, guys. Lorena does incredible reviews. She not only goes to the park, but she tells you what's there. You know, all those treats and goodies and things that you love to go get at the park, those special things that make it so enjoyable. Well, Lorena even reviews that as well. So she goes into the stores and lets you know what merchandise is there, guys. So please do check out her channel and subscribe and like it so she can get to that 4,000 subscriber mark. And guys, of course, I am Mmmm. Um, of course, I have my own channel called Positive Fandom, guys, where I do have my Sunday brunch shows at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do all the parlay in the fandom, guys. If you are a creator, and Lorena's information is here right on the screen and in the chat, guys. Do subscribe to Lorena's channel, everybody. If you are a creator, come on over to Positive Fandom on the Sunday Brunch channel, and we will promote your show there on the channel because that's what we do. We like to support other channels. That means if you are a writer, if you are an artist and you do artwork, we also promote that as well. So regardless of what you do, we will support you there. One person that recently I streamed with is this gentleman here. He's Tabletop and Fantasy. Hi, Heath. He has a great channel. Guys, do check out Heath's channel. Certainly you will enjoy it. He has some interesting videos, and he is the king of tabletop and toys. So also check that out, guys. But you can also find me here on the Post-Geek Singularity. I do show with Robert called Midnight Musings. And of course, Lorena and I are doing this show, Ladies of the PGS. We are so grateful to everybody who has turned out tonight to be here with us. Thank you so much for the support. Lorena, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for the invitation.
And thank you for helping me with the production part, guys. My internet, I'm going to be on a different computer. I promise you. I'll go back to the Chromebook because the MacBook doesn't like this. It's very unhappy. But guys, I so appreciate you all being here. Do subscribe to Lorena's channel and subscribe to my channel, which is Positive Fandom. Tom Jr. Jackson, I do want to thank you for being our moderator. We are all goof people, everybody. And I do just want to say for everybody who is out there, thank you so much for the support. And guys, remember to always be kind. Take care, everybody.
Bye.